Hey everybody, Sean from Movie Assault here, and it's time for another video. This time around, it is finally time for a movie review, and I said that I would be reviewing some classic movies this month, trying to whittle down some of the movies on my not watched pile or never watched pile, and I've got quite a few classic movies on my never watched pile, so I thought I would come to you guys, my viewers, and ask you to pick the movies that I should watch for the month of July. And for my first poll, you guys picked A Clockwork Orange. So that is what I watched for the first movie of July, and here is the review. This is a movie that was released in 1972, was made in 1971, directed and written by Stanley Kubrick, was based on the book by Anthony Burgess. From what I understand, the book and the movie are significantly different in terms of the way the story is told. I don't know about the subject matter. I have not read the book. But this is a very difficult film for me to review after one viewing, because this is considered a classic. Of course, Stanley Kubrick is considered a classic director, one of the greatest directors of all time. Of course, he's responsible for 2001: A Space Odyssey, The Shining, Barry Lyndon, to a lesser extent, maybe Eyes Wide Shut. Not that he's lesser responsible for it, but it's not as highly regarded as some of his other movies. Stars Malcolm McDowell, Patrick McGee, Warren Clark, James Marcus, Michael Bates, among others. It was nominated for 4 Academy Awards: Best Picture, Best Director, of course, Best Adapted Screenplay, although at the time it was called Best Work Adapted from Another Medium or something to that effect, and Best Editing for Bill Butler. And the plot centers around basically taking place in the near future. The crime has run rampant, or is running rampant, and these gangs run the streets, mainly at night, I guess. And Alex, played by Malcolm McDowell, runs a gang of what he calls droogs. I don't know if that's his term or the term for the gangs in general, but basically for entertainment, they rob, rape, beat old people up, break into houses, just unsavory group of characters. And there is sort of an internal power struggle within his gang, and 2 of the members, Dim and Georgie, are not real fond of the way that Alex is running things, and they sort of threaten his power. Of course, they don't succeed in overthrowing Alex in the gang, but they sort of set him up for failure, and that leads to him getting arrested. I'm really condensing this plot and leaving out a lot of detail because I don't want to give away too many spoilers or anything. But he gets arrested, and he becomes part of this program to eradicate crime by basically eliminating free will. And it takes your ability to, when you think about committing a violent act or a sexual act, it makes you physically sick. And I'll just sort of leave it at that. I kind of went into this not knowing a whole hell of a lot about it. I mean, I knew about the movie, and I knew that it was a classic. I knew that there was the classic scene where Malcolm McDowell has his eyes pried open and they're dropping drops in his eyes, and it's a horrible scene to look at. It looks very painful. I actually got the chance to meet Malcolm McDowell and see him at a Q&A down at the Texas Frightmare Weekend in 2011, and he said it was one of the most uncomfortable scenes he'd ever done. And even though they numbed his eyes a little bit to make it less painful for him, he still was kind of unnerved by the fact that they had to drop these drops to keep his eyes moistened, and he still got scratches on his cornea from the hooks that they put in to keep his eyelids open. That imagery is all over the place. If you see a sort of a smash, or not a smash cut, but sort of a compilation of sci-fi movie clips, undoubtedly that's going to be in there, because it's one of the most uncomfortable scenes in movie history. And I've seen this, slow motion montages of Alex and his gang going down the road in the movie and beating up an old drunk in the street and stuff like that. I've seen a lot of images from the movie, but I really had no idea what it was about. And it really comes down to, at least at first glance, you know, making the decision, is eliminating free will really the solution to eliminating crime? Does that really solve the problem? Of course, the answer would be no, but it's, you know, what is the morality surrounding that? And there's all sorts of interesting questions that that brings up. And, you know, you're going to ask yourself these questions, and it would provoke a lot of conversation if you watched it with somebody else. I watched it by myself, so I didn't get to have those conversations with anybody, which is unfortunate because I would have liked to have done that. The visuals of the film, even though it's very much rooted in what looks like the 70s vision of the future, the messaging is still very modern, and it's just off from the 70s enough to look weird even for the 70s. So it's sort of like almost a modern retro, if that makes any sense. It doesn't seem to fit into the 70s, even though it looks like it was from the 70s. It's hard to explain, but it's very interesting. It's a very interesting looking film. Malcolm McDowell's performance in it is undoubtedly the best I've ever seen him give. He's sly, he's brutal. Apologize, the air conditioning just kicked on. It's 93 degrees here, so it's very hot. He's very manipulative. He's very cunning. Just, it's a hoot to watch him. His facial expressions are just crazy. And I know a lot of people look at him as sort of a hero because he's sort of demented and smart about it. But I don't know that you're meant to think of him as a hero. I don't know. There's a lot of things that I have sort of unfinished thoughts that I'm going to need to see this film again to complete, because it's a movie that's really hard to take in one viewing and come away with a finished opinion about it. It sort of sounds like I'm trying not to commit to a hardcore, like, well, this is a great movie. It is fantastic to watch, and it is very interesting. Definitely isn't boring, which is funny because I read a review that Roger Ebert wrote of it back, I guess, right after he saw it in 1972, and he said it was boring and talky, which it definitely wasn't for me. And usually Roger Ebert and I usually would see eye to eye on most movies, but this definitely is not a boring and talky movie. It's uncomfortable at times. It's unflinching. It's funny because when it came out, I guess it was hard. It was brutal enough and hard enough and unflinching enough to be rated X, at least initially. Now it would be rated R. It is rated R on the Blu-ray. But there's really nothing actually that graphic or that violent about it. There's a lot of nudity in it, but that would be all, I think, in terms of what would push it to an R now. I think the subject material is far more thought-provoking or more disturbing than the actual visual content. And I know it just leaves you with a lot of stuff on your plate to think about after you're done watching it. And that's basically how I can sum up my review of it. Is I really need to see it again to digest it in full. I don't even think I would get all of it in full after seeing it a second time. But it is definitely not one of those movies that you sit down, watch, forget, and that's it. It's definitely, there's a lot of things that you have to take in and sort of run over in your mind. What did this mean? What is Kubrick trying to say with this? Does this visual mean anything or not? And it's one of those movies that's not easy to review. I could sit here and say, well, I watched A Clockwork Orange and it was pretty good. All right, goodbye. And that would totally miss the point of the film, because it's not that type of movie. You just don't sit down, watch it, and forget it, or sit down and watch it and go, yeah, it was all right. Because it's not that type of movie. it's not one of those movies that I think you sit down and go, man, that was a great movie. Man, you know, that was just a great movie, and I'm really glad I saw that because I was into it from the first scene. It doesn't really do that to you. It kind of takes you, if you don't know what you're getting yourself into, like I did not, I really kind of wondered where this film was going, and at about the halfway point, I go, okay, there's the point it's trying to make. I see. And then I kind of latched onto it a little bit and then went to the end and then kind of wondered, is this a satire? Maybe is Alex pulling one over on everybody? Maybe. I'm not sure. So I didn't really walk away with a 100% answer of what I'm supposed to walk away from the film with. And those are usually the best kind of films, the ones that leave you walking away from them going, what the hell did I just watch? I really need to watch that again. So if you don't like those types of movies that make your brain chew on them for a little while and they're not easy to digest, this probably isn't the film for you. It's definitely not family viewing. There are depictions of rape and there are depictions of murder and crime and, you know, that goes unpunished and whatnot. Depravity is celebrated somewhat in the first third of the film, but it doesn't go unpunished for the entirety of the film. We'll put it that way. I don't know. I really enjoyed it in the fact that I really needed to chew on it for a while, and that was interesting. It's a challenging film, and that's what I liked about it. And you don't see too many of those being churned out by directors, writers, or studios today very often. And if they are, they're usually from an independent studio, not from a big studio like Warner Brothers, like this one came out in 1972. So that's my review of A Clockwork Orange. If you're looking for a rating, a first-time viewing rating, I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Probably would add more stars to it if I watched it again and could say that I had more of a grasp on everything it was trying to say. But I think I got the main point of it, maybe. But yeah, now at this point I feel like I'm just rambling, so I'm gonna stop talking and let you pick the next movie I review in the next poll, which I will post shortly after I post this video. If you've watched this far, thanks for your attention span. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for encouraging me to make more videos and reviews. And as always, thank you for subscribing. And that is it for now. Take it easy. Bye.